Ludwig Mies is one of the most influential architects of the 20th century. He is often associated with two famous phrases, "Less is more," and "God is in the details." These simple but powerful ideas shaped modern architecture and redefined how architects think about space, structure, and materials. Mies did not try to create dramatic forms or expressive shapes. Instead, he pursued clarity, simplicity, and precision. Through glass, steel, and propulsion, he created a new architectural language that continues to define modern cities around the world. This is the story of Mies van der Rohe, his life, his philosophy, and his lasting influence on architecture. So Mies van der Rohe was born in 1886 in Germany. His father was a stonemason, and from a young age, Mies was exposed to construction, materials, and craftsmanship. This early experience shaped his understanding of architecture as a discipline of material and structure, not just design. Unlike many architects, Mies did not receive formal academic architecture training in the beginning. He learned through apprenticeship and practical experience. He worked in several architectural offices and eventually moved to Berlin, where his career began to develop. One of the most important influences in his early career was Peter Behrens, a leading German architect and designer. In Behrens' office, Mies worked alongside other future masters of modern architecture, including Le Corbusier and Walter Gropius. This environment became one of the most important intellectual centers of the modern architecture. In the 1920s, Mies began developing his own architectural philosophy. He rejected historical decoration and classical ornament. Instead, he focused on structure, propulsion, and space. He believed architecture should express the spirit of the modern age. Industrial materials like steels and glass became his main tools. One of his early visionary projects was the Friedrichstraße skyscraper project. Although it was never built, it showed a revolutionary idea: a glass skyscraper that expressed the structure and transparency. At the time, this was a radical concept. Architecture was moving away from heavy masonry and toward light and openness. Mies was leading this transformation. One of Mies' most famous work is the Barcelona Pavilion, designed for the 1929 International Exposition in Barcelona. This building is considered one of the masterpieces of modern architecture. The pavilion is extremely simple: flat roof, thin columns, open plan, glass and marble walls. Yet the space feels elegant and powerful. Instead of solid walls, floating plans define the space. Instead of heavy structure, slender steel columns create openness. The building becomes a composition of space, material, and propulsion. Here, Mies demonstrated architecture could be minimal and still deeply expressive. The pavilion also introduced the famous Barcelona chair, designed specifically for the building. This project defined the aesthetic of modern architecture. In 1930, Mies became the director of the Bauhaus, one of the most important architecture and a design school in the history. The Bauhaus aimed to unite art, craft, and technology. Under Mies's leadership, the school focused on clarity, discipline, and modern construction. However, political pressure in Germany was rising. The Nazis opposed to modern art and architecture. In 1933, the Bauhaus was forced to close. This marked a turning point in Mies's life. He decided to leave Germany and move to the United States. In 1938, Mies moved to Chicago and became the head of architecture at Illinois Institute of Technology. Here he developed a new architectural language. He designed the Illinois Institute of Technology campus using the steel and the glass structure with clear geometric order. One of the most important buildings from this period is Clown Hall. Clown Hall is a perfect example of Mies's philosophy. A large open interior space, steel structure exposed, glass walls, no unnecessary decoration. It represents the idea of universal space, flexible and open for different users. This approach shaped the modern architectural education and practice. Mies became famous for his glass skyscrapers. One of the most iconic is the Siglan building in New York City, designed with Philip Johnson. The Siglan building introduced a new standard for the skyscraper. Steel structure expressed on the facade, glass curtain wall, minimalist design, open plaza in front of the building. This project influenced skyscraper design around the world. Even today, many office towers follow this model. Mies defined the modern corporate building. Another masterpiece is a Farnsworth house, a simple glass house placed in the nature. Thin steel structure, transparent walls, floating floor and a roof. The house almost disappears into the landscape. It becomes a pure space. This project represents Mies's ultimate vision of a minimal architecture. However, it also sparked a controversy. The client, Edith Farnsworth, criticized the house for being uncomfortable and impractical. This reveals an important tension in Mies's work: the balance between aesthetic purity and human comfort. And Mies believed architecture should be clear, honest, and precise. His philosophy focused on structural clarity, material honesty, minimal form, and universal space. Less is more was not about simplicity alone. It was about removing everything unnecessary to reveal essential architecture. For Mies, architecture was almost like philosophy built in steel and glass. Every detail mattered. Every line had meaning. Every proportion created harmony. And Mies fundamentally shaped modern architecture globally. His influence can be seen in the cities all over the world. Glass towers and minimal buildings often trace their origins back to Mies. But Mies's architecture is also criticized. Some argue that glass skyscrapers created a cool and repetitive urban environments. Others say minimalism can become monotonous and lacking in human warmth. Critics also argue that universal architecture ignores local culture and climate. This raises an important question. Can pure minimalism truly respond to human life and environmental complexity? This debate continues today. But still, Mies's ideas remain highly relevant. In a world filled with visual noise and complex forms, minimal architecture offers clarity and calm. His focus on structure and material honesty aligns with contemporary sustainable and rational design. Architects still learn from his discipline and precision. Mies teaches us that architecture does not need to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes simplicity creates the strongest impact. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helps you better understand the foundation of architectural thinking. We are still climbing the ladder of knowledge in architecture, art, and design. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below.